This blue dot in the abyss of space that we call home came into formation approximately 4.54 billion years ago. Water accumulated on the Earth's surface about 4.41 billion years ago, with the first single-life organisms emerging in these early oceans 4 billion years ago. The next change took place about 3.5 billion years ago, when the first organisms developed photosynthesis. As organisms began converting carbon dioxide into oxygen, oxygen began to accumulate in the Earth's oceans. The next step was the Great Oxidation Event 2.4 billion years ago, when the first land plants emerged, emitting oxygen into the Earth's atmosphere. Cyanobacteria flourished in the Earth's oceans. The first animal-like life emerged 600 million years ago. The Cambrian explosion, about 500 million years ago, led to the massive diversification of life on Earth in all of Earth's new habitats. The first land animals, tetrapods, emerged from the oceans and colonized Earth's land masses about 400 million years ago. Now let's learn about how humans fit into life on Earth.
The most popular theory of evolution is by Charles Darwin. Darwin, along with Alfred Russel Wallace, published a paper in 1858 about natural selection. Natural selection is the process by which organisms change over time as a result of changes in heritable physical or behavioral traits. They found that changes that allow an organism to better adapt to its environment will help it survive and have more offspring in the future. Natural selection has been observed in many species over the years. In an ecosystem, some giraffes have long necks while others have short ones. If something caused low-lying shrubs to die out, the giraffes with short necks did not get enough food. After a few generations, all the giraffes have long necks. Natural selection can also be seen in deer mice that migrated to the sandhills of Nebraska. They changed from their dark brown to light brown colors to better hide from predators in the sand.
Humans evolved from an ape-like species to what we are now over the course of many millions of years. According to NewScientist.com, last accessed April 22nd, our earliest ancestors are recorded to be present around the Middle Miocene epoch, which was around 16 to 11.6 million years ago. During that time period, there were many different primate species that were living on Earth. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, last accessed April 22nd, the two primate species that are thought to be our most likely ancestors would be the Keniapithecus and Gryphopithecus primate species. From there, the major evolutions were the Australopithecus afarensis, and then the Homo erectus, and finally the Homo sapien. As our ancestors evolved, the Earth was also changing. This allowed our ancestors to adapt to the changing environment around them. In the late Miocene period, 11.6 to 5.3 million years ago, some forests changed to open woodlands, shrublands, and grasslands, and the diverse environment stimulated the evolution of locomotion in our ancestors. Our ancestors became bipedal. Our bipedalism is very unique, because other bipedal creatures will often waddle or hop, whereas we actually stride. This type of bipedalism allowed hominini to stay in different environments.
From natural selection and artificial selection to genetic engineering, we are now able to manipulate DNA in ways that our ancestors couldn't have even imagined. Genetic engineering, which is essentially cutting and pasting a gene of interest from one organism to another, opens up a world of possibilities, but a world of concern too. With the rise of genetic engineering, new methods of treating diseases in adults have started gaining popularity. There are clinical trials in which cells are extracted from cancer patients, re-engineered, and then reintroduced into the patient as enhanced cancer-fighting supercells. In another case, one patient's metabolic disorder was treated using the same method of genetic editing. Despite all of the good that we've seen genetic engineering do, there is still a world of concern that I mentioned. The kind of genetic engineering that people might be more familiar with is the idea that we can tweak genes in an embryo. This isn't inherently bad, as preventing disease pre-birth is incredible, but people could take advantage of this ability to tweak genes. Popular concerns being people tweaking an embryo's genome or selecting a specific embryo by its genes before in vitro fertilization so that the embryo grows up to be more intelligent or good-looking than if conceived conventionally. Experts worry that this could increase the already existing problems of inequality in societies.